It started with whispers, rumors of wild parties, strange behavior, and secret footage. But nothing could prepare people for what surfaced next. Recently, hidden footage began circulating online, allegedly leaked or exposed by Christian King Combs, the son of Sean Diddy Combs. This wasn't a blurry phone clip or a vague story passed around in tabloids. According to insiders, it was a direct look inside one of Diddy's infamous freak-off parties, the kind people used to joke about but never truly believed were real.
This time around, Diddy was brought in first. He was brought in about a couple minutes after 2 p.m. today, and we were all kind of waiting to see. We had heard mumblings that his mom might be in courtroom, that we were waiting for the children, but then nothing happened. But then, in another twist and turn, the children do walk in, but this time it was a lot smaller bunch than it was the last time. So last time you're having all of Diddy's children, except with the exception of Love, who is just a 2-year-old child, so she wasn't at court, but you had all of Diddy's children there except Love. But this time around, you just had Justin Combs and Christian Combs, meaning that there was no Quincy there today, Delilah and Jesse weren't there, Chance wasn't there, and the caretakers of his younger children who aren't of age just yet, they were not present inside the courtroom as well today.
Until now, the footage reportedly shows scenes that are hard to watch. Intoxicated women, questionable actions, and a general atmosphere that no longer looks like a party. It looks like a problem. And what makes it even worse, there are recognizable faces involved, celebrities, industry insiders, people the public once admired. The moment this video surfaced, everything changed. It wasn't just about Diddy anymore. It became about everyone who was in that room, everyone who stayed silent, everyone who helped protect that world. The footage, whether fully released or not, has already sent a shock through Hollywood, and fans, they're not taking this lightly. Social media has exploded with calls for answers, accountability, and justice. This isn't just a scandal, it's a shift, the kind that turns rumors into reality and questions into action. And it all started with one tape. Let's talk about the man behind it and why Christian Combs decided to break the silence.
How are you doing this morning? How's it going, Justin? Let's see, how are you feeling this morning? How's the twins?
Christian Combs breaks the mold. Christian Combs has always been known as Diddy's son. For years, he stood by his father's side at concerts, award shows, and in the spotlight. He followed in Diddy's footsteps with a budding music career, flashy lifestyle, and loyal public image. But in recent months, something shifted. Christian started to speak differently in interviews, dropping subtle hints, making cryptic comments about regret, and things he had seen but couldn't say. At first, most people thought it was just pressure or media training, but now those quiet remarks make a lot more sense. According to people close to him, Christian has been struggling behind the scenes, not just with the growing legal pressure on his father, but with his own internal battle. How do you stay loyal to family when your values no longer align? When you've seen too much and stayed quiet for too long? That's what makes this leak, or alleged leak, such a big deal. If Christian did help bring this footage to light, it wasn't just about causing drama. It may have been about drawing a line, a way of saying, I'm not part of this.
They're hunting this guy for major felonies, and Fiddy seems to be sitting on the sidelines cheering. Now, that could be for one or two reasons. One is he knows things or suspects things about Mr. Combs. The other one is that he's just got a real perverse sense of competition.
One thing I know for sure is that when it comes to our culture, sometimes we cannibalize our own more than anybody else. And, we've seen the former president of the United States inspire the country to turn into Spider-Man and climb up the Capitol to overthrow the government in the middle of an election. But yet we haven't seen his mugshot or seen his kids handcuffed. I've known Justin for probably 15 years. Quincy, one of his sons, and his other sons. Those are really good kids. So to see them in handcuffs, to see them put on display as criminals, or to be put into the conversation that they somehow are ushering underage kids into the compound for their dad to have their way with them. Those aren't the kids that I know.
For someone raised in luxury and legacy, it's not easy to step out of the shadow, but Christian's actions suggest he's ready to carve his own path, even if that means facing backlash from his father, the industry, and those who once supported him. It's not just a move of rebellion, it might be a move of survival. Now that the world is watching, people want to know what exactly was in that footage.
Sometimes you have to tell Diddy no.
Oh man, bro.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Oh man.
Sean Diddy Combs' alleged list of accomplishments to be revealed soon. The names will shock you, attorney says. Whoa.
I think he's gonna sing. If I got invited to the white party, I'd have gone.
Especially if you didn't know.
Of course, no one knew. No one
Right.
knew.
If
And
you
then
don't know, you're
find
just
out.
a celebrity, and you know, oh, Jennifer Lopez is going to be there. Oh, Rick
That's what I'm
Ross is
saying.
going to be there. Everyone's going to be there.
And-
That would be a cool place. I want to meet those people.
Fact.
Everyone. There's raids at Diddy's house.
This is how Joe Rogan reacts when his newsfeed gets flooded with P. Diddy news.
It's there. My news feed is dominated by it.
Yes.
Fox News, CNN, everyone. There's raids at Diddy's house.
Now, Diddy's in a tricky situation. I think it's over.
You think it's over?
I think it's over for him as like a figure in entertainment.
Right. But do you
Like,
think it's over as him as far
going
as
to jail?
like he gets a cell right next to R. Kelly?
I don't think so. I don't think
Really?
he gets
I
locked
think he
up.
skates.
I think he skates. Or he goes to
Really?
like Bali.
That's a move, huh?
What's in the footage? So what does the hidden video actually show? While the full clip hasn't been officially released to the public, multiple trusted insiders who've reportedly seen it describe it in disturbing detail. It's said to be taken at one of Diddy's private estates, either in Los Angeles or Miami, and captures events that line up with past rumors about the so-called freak-off parties. According to those who've seen it, the footage includes scenes of young women who appear to be heavily intoxicated, some barely conscious, surrounded by music, alcohol, and high-profile men. What's even more alarming is the way these women are treated. Several sources say the video shows pressure being applied, not physical, but emotional, manipulative, like these women weren't fully aware of what they were walking into until it was too late. There are reportedly familiar faces in the room, people the public knows, maybe not doing something directly illegal, but standing by, watching, laughing, and not stepping in. That's what makes the footage so damning. It's not just about what was done, it's about who allowed it. And yes, Diddy himself is allegedly shown in the center of it all, not just in the background, but actively participating. The video allegedly confirms things that survivors have been saying for years. And for those who dismiss the claims as gossip, this is the moment those doubts start to disappear. What was once considered exaggerated or Hollywood talk now looks like evidence. And with the video now in federal hands, it's no longer just a social media bombshell. It's potential legal ammunition. Fans and public respond, betrayal or bravery. As soon as word of the footage got out, the internet erupted. People didn't know how to feel. Shock, anger, confusion, and most of all, betrayal. For years, fans looked up to Diddy, Christian, and the whole Combs legacy. They saw them as a symbol of black excellence, wealth, and success. But now that image is cracking. And the hurt is real. Some fans praised Christian for what he did. They called it brave. They said it takes real courage to break away from your own family when you know something is wrong. These supporters believe he's trying to protect himself and possibly help others by confirming the truth. But not everyone sees it that way. Others are asking, why now? Why stay quiet until things went public? Was Christian complicit before this? Was this move about justice, or was it just a way to protect himself from being dragged down too? Debates lit up social media platforms like Twitter, TikTok, and YouTube. Comment sections filled with arguments. He's doing the right thing versus he should have spoken sooner.
Hey, there's Lori Harvey, you know, Steve Harvey's 22-year-old stepdaughter, in New York looking super happy. And there's Diddy looking, nervous.
So this is fueling the dating rumors that have been going on for a few weeks now.
Yeah, they've been hanging out. Saw her getting out of Diddy's car last week at Nobu, but Diddy's people say she's just a family friend.
Matchy.
They're matching outfits.
Matching outfits?
Matching outfits.
Yeah, but if anything, that dispels dating rumors. Can't see Diddy knowingly doing that. But if this is a real thing...
His father-in-law would be Steve Harvey? That is weird.
Survey says... Oh, we haven't gotten to the weird part yet.
She was previously linked to his oldest son, Justin.
Wait, and hold the phone too.
She dated his son and then she went for daddy.
Does she call him Diddy or Daddy?
Daddy Diddy.
Damn, Diddy.
This is a massive age difference.
That doesn't bother me. That doesn't bother me at all.
I don't care about the age difference. I care about the fact that that's my son's ex.
But we've also seen this where you date a girl and then you date their mom.
Yeah, that happens a lot. In porn, Wouldn't call it dating. Anyway.
It's weird because that's the way you think.
Can you imagine dating your mother's ex-boyfriend?
Well, he'd be like 115.
Ah, a younger man.
Have a fun night, kids. But have her back by 11, eh, sport?
Harvey lays down the law in a blistering memo that has just been leaked, telling his staff at times not to approach him or even speak to him.
The memo lit up social media, and a lot of people jumped to the conclusion that Steve was on some kind of power trip. So, what was really going through his mind? I found out when I talked to Steve exclusively by phone today.
So, Steve, what happened with the memo?
I wrote it at the beginning of the year because I was trying to find out ways that I could just get more me time for me. I'm a 60-year-old man, and I could not find a way to walk from the stage to my dressing room, to sit in my makeup chair, to walk from my dressing room to the stage, or to just sit and have lunch without somebody just walking in.
Steve Harvey spoke to us exclusively this morning from Chicago, where his talk show is wrapping up its last day of production before its move to LA. In a startling memo to staffers that just leaked, Harvey wrote, quote, "There will be no meetings in my dressing room, no stopping by or popping in. No one. Do not come to my dressing room unless invited. Do not open my dressing room door."
People are split, but one thing they agree on is this: the footage changes everything. It's also making longtime fans of Bad Boy Entertainment take a hard look at their favorite artists. Who knew what? Who was there? And how much of the music they loved came from an environment that was hiding so much darkness? Christian's decision is forcing people to question not just Diddy, but the entire circle that surrounded him, and it's only getting more serious from here.
God gave her back to me in 2005. I put her name on the back, man. You understand me. That's mine right there. Yeah, I own you and you own me. I will kill everybody in here about your ass. Please understand that about the way I love you, Marjorie Elaine.
And I have the key to women keeping their heart attached. I was a womanizer, now I'm a woman advisor.
Disgraced music mogul Sean Diddy Combs, once known for his lavish lifestyle and living large in his multi-million-dollar mansions, has a new home as he awaits trial in his federal sex trafficking case. Last week, the Bad Boy Founder's defense team unsuccessfully fought to keep the music producer out of federal jail after his arrest. Now his new digs once house other high-profile inmates, including R. Kelly, Fetty Wap, Sam Bankman-Fried, and Ghislaine Maxwell. Diddy is currently housed at the Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn, New York, a stark difference from the glitz, glamour, and wealth in Hollywood and Star Island in Miami Beach, Florida. But MDC Brooklyn has been described as hell on earth, with horrifying conditions. The facility, which now houses Diddy, opened in the early 90s and is the only federal jail in New York City after the Bureau of Prisons closed its Metropolitan Correctional Center in 2021 after many issues came to light in the wake of Jeffrey Epstein's suicide just 2 years earlier.
Sean Combs is focusing on things he cannot control. He will have a miserable experience. When he can call home, when he can visit, the living conditions, exercising maybe an hour a day, showering a few hours a week. If he fixates on that, it is going to be miserable, and every day will feel like a year. On the other hand, if he can learn from those who have come before him and master the experience, my business partner served 26 consecutive years for a nonviolent crime, including 8 years in the penitentiary. He never complained. He focused on his family, trying to prove worthy of the love and support of his family. If he can do that, the experience, it won't be easy. I'm not insane. It will be more bearable. The choice is up to him.
And as far as we know right now, he has been kept in solitary confinement, or the SHU right now, and he's been on suicide watch. How different is that experience from being in the general population?
It's much harder. If you like to be around people, you like communication, if you're an extrovert, and then suddenly you were isolated 23 hours a day on total lockdown, I'm not spinning that it's difficult. It will test the strongest mind. But he has to understand others have gone through it and emerged successfully. And what he and his lawyers have to understand is they have like a messaging problem.
Legal fallout, a ticking time bomb, the release, or even the existence of this hidden footage has turned up the heat in a legal case that was already boiling. Federal investigators were already building a case against Diddy, digging through lawsuits, witness statements, and digital evidence. But this video, it could be the missing piece. If it shows what insiders are claiming, minors, non-consensual acts, illegal substances, it may not just support the ongoing civil lawsuits. It could lead to serious criminal charges. Legal sources say prosecutors are already working with multiple victims and insiders. Some believe the footage could act as a bridge, connecting the testimonies to something solid, something visual. If faces can be confirmed, if timelines match, and if any part of the footage shows activity that crosses legal lines, Diddy could face far more than lawsuits. We're talking indictments, federal charges, prison time.
Our Jen is with me now to talk about another story making headlines today.
Yeah, so this one is actually sparked by these pictures. That's 49-year-old P. Diddy with his hand on his girlfriend's belly. Now that is 22-year-old Lori Harvey. They're in Cabo. She's, of course, talk show host Steve Harvey's stepdaughter. People are talking about maybe she could be pregnant. You know, he's rubbing her belly a little bit, but...
She's put up some Instagrams, I think, that show some clues. Sushi, right? Sushi, a bad thing for pregnancy.
It could go either way. But then also she posted this picture of green juice, which, you know, why would you want a flatter tummy if you really can't avoid it because you're carrying a child?
Ooh, this is conflicting evidence. Okay. Lori was once actually linked to Diddy's son, Justin.
Okay.
Okay, so they were together and then engaged a couple years ago to a Dutch soccer player. She told Carissa Thompson about how he popped the question.
We were in Malibu. I remember the
Were you
time. It was
freaking out?
11:30. I thought it was a joke, and then he went in his pocket, and I started shaking.
They split up later on that year. Lori and Sean were actually spotted with her dad, Steve, on a boat in Italy earlier on this summer.
That's all. Well, then that's it. He's given the blessing. They're together.
Gave
It's
his
a beautiful
approval.
thing, right? Steve once gave us a little dating advice.
This is what I told this boy who came to take my daughter out. I said, listen to me, son. Whatever you do to her, I'm gonna do to you. Now go on, have a nice time.
That's graphic.
Many dads have used that line before.
No, I'm just kidding, but listen though, right? Here's the problem with Diddy and Lori, right? See, I think that like they're a thing, right? But then I kind of don't think they're a thing. Because if you ask sources close to Diddy, they'd be like, okay, which we did around the Jamaican Fest time.
Yeah, but we didn't this time, and
we did it this time.
Nobody's saying nothing.
I mean, you're right. But the Jamaican time, though, they said, like, oh, she's a friend of the family. She's been a friend of the family. She's friends with everybody.
This is friend of the family week.
Friend of the family. Let's not forget, too, she dated Diddy's oldest son, Justin, and a lot of people online, too, are making a comparison between Lori and Kim, who passed away. Obviously, Diddy's the mother of his children, and Lori actually posted something when Kim passed saying, I'm having a hard time. It was just a really nice message, and a lot of people are dragging her on the comment section.
So, okay, but so let me just say something about what Brad just said, because
There's also a growing theory that Christian Combs didn't just leak the footage randomly. Some believe it was a calculated move, a legal defense, a way to protect himself from the fallout. In federal cases, especially involving organized abuse or trafficking, people close to the accused are often pressured to cooperate. By turning something over, Christian could be signaling, I'm not part of this, I'm done protecting him. It's possible the footage was already in the hands of investigators, and this leak was just the public finding out. Or maybe Christian leaked it as a last resort, frustrated by years of silence and cover-ups. Either way, the legal implications are huge, and the pressure on others involved, whether they were active participants or just bystanders, is building. No one knows exactly when the next shoe will drop, but if the footage gets officially submitted as evidence in court, it will be a turning point. The time for speculation is ending, and the time for consequences is coming. The collapse of Diddy's circle.
Diddy also allegedly forced victims to carry illegal firearms, often through coercion and the assistance of his associates working for the Combs enterprise. Not only would these associates help suppress the victims, but they also arranged the freak-offs by booking hotel rooms and stocking the rooms with required freak-off necessities like baby oil or personal lubricant. These associates would also procure sex workers and IVs that were given to both Combs and the victims after these freak-off sessions to help them recover from the physical exertion and drug use. As part of all this, Diddy and his associates transported and caused to be transported commercial sex workers across state lines and Diddy is also accused of transporting survivor Jane Doe across state lines when he flew her from Michigan to New York in 2003. Jane Doe filed civil suit against Diddy in fall 2023, alleging that 20 years prior, he raped her when she was only 17. According to Jane Doe's suit, she met one of Diddy's associates in Michigan and was flown on Diddy's private jet to his studio in New York. Jane Doe also provided pictures of her with Diddy in the studio, bolstering her accusations. Once there, Diddy allegedly drugged Jane Doe and forced her to drink alcohol. After that, he allegedly raped her before sending her back to the Midwest. It's a similar story from Liza Gardner, who also filed civil suit last fall. She alleges Diddy also raped her in New York, but way back in 1990. Gardner's lawsuit alleges she and a friend met Diddy at a party, and then at an after party, he gave her alcohol. He then allegedly raped her before another man also raped her. During all this, both men allegedly also raped Gardner's friend. A couple days later, Combs came to the home where Liza Gardner and her friend were staying. He was irate and began assaulting and choking Liza Gardner to the point that she
Extended, Diddy once stood as a symbol of success in hip-hop. A cultural architect, a music mogul, a brand in himself. He wasn't just rich or famous. He was powerful. For years, he walked into any room and was treated like royalty. He could launch careers with a cosign, fill clubs with a single call, and dominate headlines at will. But now, all of that is crumbling fast. The lawsuits are piling up. The federal raids on his homes shook the entire industry. Once those images went public, agents seizing hard drives and walking out with evidence, it was clear this wasn't just a PR scandal, it was a full-scale collapse. And just when people thought it couldn't get worse, the silence from Diddy's inner circle said it all. For decades, Diddy surrounded himself with artists, executives, producers, influencers, and family who benefited from his shine. They showed up for his parties. They stood beside him at awards shows. They thanked him during speeches. They lived off the credibility that came from being close to him. But now, that once loyal circle is disappearing. Publicists are scrambling to disconnect their clients. Some celebrities have unfollowed him without a word. Former collaborators are suddenly unavailable for comment. And brand sponsors, once eager to align with his star power, are quietly pulling out of partnerships and wiping his name from press kits. And then came the most personal blow of all. Christian Combs, Diddy's own son, stepping away, not just privately, but in a way that might help expose the truth. It's not just emotional distance, it's symbolic. A son separating himself from a father whose legacy has become too heavy to carry. That move, more than any lawsuit or news article, shook the foundation of Diddy's public image. People close to the family say there's deep tension behind the scenes. Some relatives are still standing by him, clinging to loyalty. Others have chosen to say nothing at all, which says everything. The household that once projected strength and unity now looks fractured, uncertain, and unstable. And in the middle of it all is Diddy, facing a growing storm. The image he spent decades crafting, entrepreneur, hitmaker, icon, has been shattered. The media machine that once worked in his favor is now picking apart his past. Every old clip, every party story, every NDA is now a potential piece of evidence. The big question that people are asking in comment sections, on podcasts, in newsroom meetings is simple but heavy. How did this go on for so long without anyone stopping it? The answer is complicated. Diddy's power, influence, and money shielded him. People were afraid to speak. Some were paid to stay quiet. Others genuinely didn't know the full story, but that protection is gone now. The spotlight is no longer controlled by his team. The narrative has left his hands. This isn't just a fall from grace, it's a collapse of an entire system built on fame, loyalty, and silence. And for the music world, it may be the start of something bigger, a wider reckoning of unchecked power and the damage it can cause behind closed doors. What's coming next? That's the part no one can predict, but what's clear is this: Diddy isn't just losing his empire, he's watching it unravel. One lawsuit, one unfollow, one betrayal at a time.
Dickerson Neal alleges Diddy raped her in 1991, also in New York. Echoing what prosecutors would write in a federal indictment against Diddy, Dickerson Neal alleges Diddy recorded this sexual assault. Her lawsuit also argues that she's the victim of revenge porn, as Diddy showed this recording to multiple people without her consent. All three of these civil lawsuits were filed last November under the New York Survivors Act. And so too was a bombshell civil suit filed by Cassandra Ventura, Diddy's ex-girlfriend, who's also known as the singer Cassie. It was with Cassie's lawsuit that we first heard in-depth accusations about Diddy's alleged illegal activity. To start, there's the gun allegation that on at least 2 occasions, Diddy demanded Cassie hold his gun in her purse. The lawsuit goes on to state, quote, There was no clear reason why Mr. Combs required her to hold his guns, except to reinforce to his young girlfriend that he was violent, powerful, and dangerous. Beyond the gun allegations, Cassie put forth some other major accusations in her 35-page lawsuit. She says Diddy beat her, sometimes so severely that she had to hide out in hotels for days at a time, waiting for the bruises when Cassie began flirting with rapper Kid Cudi in 2011. Cassie says that in 2012, Diddy told her that he was going to blow up Kid Cudi's car and that he wanted to ensure that Kid Cudi was home with his friends when it happened. Around that time, Kid Cudi's car exploded in his driveway. The allegations brought forth in Cassie's lawsuit were shocking, and so too were the accusations brought months later in yet another civil suit filed by Rodney Jones, also known as the producer Lil Rod. He began working with Diddy in 2022 on the Love album, and soon, he alleges, the abuse began. Lil Rod accuses Diddy of sexual assault, writing he was, quote, the victim of constant, unsolicited, and unauthorized groping and touching of his anus by Mr. Combs. He also alleges Diddy and his team were grooming Lil Rod to engage in gay sex. Lil Rod further alleges that Diddy forced him to have sex with prostitutes and even drugged Lil Rod to get him to comply. On top of these sexual assault allegations, Lil Rod's lawsuit also alleges that Diddy ran a gun and drug trafficking scheme.
What happens now? Now that the tape is out there, circulating in legal circles, whispered about in the industry, and all but confirmed by insiders, the question is, what happens next? Right now, there's a sense that we're on the edge of something bigger. If this footage was just one moment from one party, what else exists? Are there more tapes, more victims, more stories waiting to come out? People are asking, who else was in the room? Who saw what happened and stayed quiet? Who helped organize it? And who's next? The entertainment world is holding its breath. Publicists are panicking, executives are reviewing their history, and some artists who were once proud to stand beside Diddy are now praying their names don't show up in the next round of headlines. Meanwhile, Christian's decision to speak or leak is having ripple effects. It may encourage others close to Diddy to come forward. Staff, assistants, ex-partners, even other family members. Because once one person breaks the silence, others often find the courage to do the same. Behind the scenes, prosecutors are moving quietly but steadily. They're building a case, and with each new piece of evidence, the odds of a public trial get stronger. But beyond the legal fight, there's something deeper happening. A shift in how we view celebrity, power, and silence. A new standard where being famous isn't enough to hide the truth anymore. Diddy's story may be the headline, but this moment, it's about something much bigger. It's about what happens when the truth finally comes out, when silence is broken, and when the people once protected by fame are forced to face the consequences of what they did and what they allowed. The secrets are no longer safe, the mask is off, and the world is watching what happens next.